So we start off with the cart. We're doing all those things, the networking, the marketing, getting the feedback, surveys, talking to people, building the email list. And our plan is to keep doing all that while we check off all of the other boxes of things that we have to do. And again, later on, I'll be very, very transparent and releasing to you guys some of my checklists, things that I do, just organizing. I come from event planning, so I do like keeping things very, very organized, how I keep up with all of my receipts and things for the business so that for tax purposes, things are organized very nicely, how I keep up with all my usernames and passwords, keeping up with all of our subscriptions and memberships, how we obtain wholesale accounts and wholesale accounts that that could really help you save money in your business. So all of that is kind of what we're going to be working on over the next 8 months, basically. We want to purchase a very big piece of equipment in April that's going to help out with the production and help out with the second tier of what we're trying to do. So the first tier is a lot of planning, a lot of checking things off. So we got to get a cart, but then it's like, if you get the cart, you need a trailer, you need something to move it around in. You need supplies, you need inventory, marketing stuff. So the way that I kind of look at it, sort of like your 5 legs of kind of getting started. And to me, this kind of like fits for any business, but specifically like with what we're talking about with concessions, but you can use this for any business. The 5 legs are kind of like legal, which is all of your legal stuff, your protections, what you're trying to do, your equipment. So anything that you can purchase that is going to help with the production. Maybe there's a machine within your industry that really helps. I know within my industry, Emery Thompson is the go-to machine that the best of the best use. And so you really want to find out what type of equipment the professionals are using within your field, because you want your product to have that quality. And I mean, listen, some of these goals may seem kind of lofty at first. Maybe you're like, oh my God, the prices for some of these machines intimidate you, but there's a lot of different ways you can go with that. We can get into that in another video. I wouldn't be the first to rush out and like loan something or pay something, but it depends on what financial situation you are in. But you can loan equipment, you can buy equipment, you can get used equipment. That's a whole nother thing, but equipment is kind of the second leg of that. Inventory just kind of encompasses any and everything that you need to like make your product. So your ingredients, any and everything that you need to make your product. Supplies to me is kind of the 4th leg, which is kind of anything that you need to be productive. It could be you setting up your office space. It could be file cabinets. It could be containers. It could be anything. When you think about giving away samples, hey, you need those little small sample spoons, the little taster spoons. Maybe you need a planner. Maybe you need certain apps. So keep that in mind and that's not so much. That's a little more like with equipment or something like that. But you get the gist. And then 5th is kind of like your marketing, your website, your domains, your logos, your emails. And again, I will share all of this stuff with you guys in due time. Any banners, any supplies, and then think about like any upgrades that you might want. Think long term when you kind of break this list down. Think long term, the things that you want to buy, because the other half to it is that when you really break it down, all of these things should actually have the cost. And this kind of goes into why you really have to do your research. This list, you want prices by stuff. You want price ranges. You want, we should go here and get it, or if we go here, we could save gas, but it's this. So really think about that when you're breaking your list down, when you're breaking these categories down. Start doing your research. How much does this cost? How much can it produce? Do we need a bigger machine? Do we need a smaller machine? Do we need a machine at all? I don't know. But these are things that you have to break down in your particular business. So that's kind of leg 1 for us, is checking things off of this massive list And this is still like tier one, but checking things off of this massive list, getting protected. If you're doing anything, you know that you need insurance. It's just kind of a no brainer. You want to be insured. You also want some kind of separation between you, the person, and your business. That always just helps to, and again, I am not a lawyer. I just want to say that I am not qualified to give legal advice at all. This is just coming from experience. I have 2 LLCs. I have one trademark. I'm sorry, I have one LLC. I have one INC. So I have one corporation. And then I have one trademark. So 2 trademarks, actually. So this is just coming from my experience. You want to start separating those things. You want to keep those things separate for a reason. But again, you can go down that path as far as when you start creating your business structure, what's going to work best for your particular business. Now, like I said, that's kind of tier one for us, which is let's check all these things off of the list. April comes. The only thing that we should have left by the time April gets here is to just go ahead and buy our machine. Thousands of dollars. We got to put it down to get this machine. So April, we get the machine, boom. We'll have a little testing, a little things going on, but we want to hit the event circuit hard. Specifically with the product like ice cream, like Italian ice. Some people do it all year round. It just depends on your business model, what you're selling, how you're doing it. People do cream ice where they do like ice cream and ice, and then they can go off season, whatever you want to do. But for us, this is our first season. This is our debut. We've been spending, those months getting the public excited about it. Boom, we want to release it. So May, we want to do a huge release. We want to do a lot of great events. We want to pick a really great 4th of July event and just a lot of cool events that we can do to we want 2020 to make like a huge splash. And so we want to pull out all the stops, do some really big events, but we don't want to spread ourselves too thin. We want a few really nice events where we can make some money. But again, the bigger deal is the feedback, the photos, the marketing, the networking. That is really the bread and butter. Tier 2 of what we are really trying to do is build up money, build up capital, because we want to, and shout out to Steve Thompson, who got on the phone with us and had a really great conference call, who really helped to set a lot of this stuff in motion. He's like a mentor in my mind through this whole process. But he got on the phone with us for an hour and gave us a really great, and again, I will share that with you guys in due time, a really great layout, a really great game plan of a wholesale model. And I fell in love with the wholesale model because coming from my experience over the past 15 years now. I'm in my 30s. I've been working since I was 15. Sometimes you just are like, hey, sometimes you're okay with a little more customer interface, sometimes a little less. What I like so much about the wholesale model is that things can be very ritual, things can be very routine, and people know what they're coming to get. And so having a wholesale model where we can distribute to restaurants, people can come, restaurant owners can either come and pick up the product or we can deliver it. But having that wholesale model is very important to me because I think the wholesale model, the B2B model for me just fits a little bit better with where I am right now in my life. And just, I don't want to sell $2 Italian ices until $1 million. Like, that's just not the path I want to do because we still have so many other things that we are trying to do. I want this to be a well-oiled machine, but I also want it to be a well-oiled machine that can work perfectly fine when I am not there. Machinery that my brother can run, a phone that my mom can answer, operations that in accounting that my sister can run, and my partner's family can chip in, and like we can go to Greece for 3 weeks. Like, that's kind of where I want us to be. that's why I really, really love the wholesale model. I also think that my experience allows me to communicate very, very well with other businesses. So I really like the B2B sometimes, and I'm great with B2C. I'm great with customers. My communication is to me, my business savvy and my communication are probably two of my strongest points. But I really do feel like B2B, I really can communicate with other business owners and really explain to them how having a low calorie, vegan friendly, vegetarian friendly, no dairy, no cholesterol dessert on their menu that's also a great quality, also has great profit margins, and they can customize is essential. And I didn't even plan, like I literally, sorry about that. I literally didn't practice that. I just came with that off the top of my head because I've just been in this world for the last year so heavy. But yeah, like I can convey that very easy to a business owner. And because I have done events, because I've done restaurant management, because I have done, being a server, I know what it's like to have a dessert tray and only the dessert tray has 8 desserts on there and only 2 sell. And from a profit and loss standpoint, there's a lot of waste because some desserts people just don't get, but you feel like, oh, we've got to have a this, we've got to have a that, but you have a lot of desserts that just never see the light of day. So from that point of view, I can communicate very well with restaurant owners as far as, do you have desserts that are underperforming? Do you have desserts that are not pulling their weight? Do you have desserts that people just don't like? Do you have desserts that just aren't making the cut? And again, people don't always think to like freshen those desserts up and recycle them. But again, that's going into another thing, but I really like communicating B2B. And that to me, being able to sit down with a business owner and talk to them about how I can help them make more money and I can help them put out something that's unique and special and something that's going to give them great profit margins is very important to me. And the fact that like, I'm not just saying it, but I mean it, like this is my company. So I want to make all of you guys $1 million. Like I want to make 5 restaurant owners $1 million so that like I want to do that. And maybe that's a little bit of like the ego side, but I think that's the part where like I want you guys to succeed. I want you guys to be an example of how amazing working with my company is. The product is great. The process is great. The people are great. That's what I want to do. And I would rather take appointments as opposed to, doing an event and serving 500 people, to make $1,000. Like I would rather have one of these conversations like once a week or once every 2 weeks, but then like close a deal like twice a month or once a month. But it's like a deal for the whole year. It's a contract for the whole year, or it's a trial contract for the next 6 months. That to me, that fits my schedule better. That fits my personality better. If I can meet with restaurant owners in a space that's not their restaurant, like for me, I want to like, I get a lot of advice from Gary Vee. You'll hear me talking about him a lot with my platform because he has helped me so much. But really making people feel special, like the idea of like taking a business owner out to dinner to talk to them about this makes way more sense to me than me like bringing samples into a restaurant, hoping they're not busy, hoping it's a good day, you know what I mean? And then like, or just leaving it with someone and they eat it all up and no one calls me. Like being on the other side of having people bring samples and trying to get in, I know how hard it is. And the best way is to just take someone to lunch or just take someone to dinner or take someone out for a drink where you don't have to feel rushed. It can feel comfortable and it can actually like flow a little bit better. And so kind of sidebar, but not sidebar, I think the business journey it's so much self-discovery. Like it's so much learning about you and what works best for you and what you're better with. And like, I can do a pitch. I'm great with doing a pitch, but like I'd much rather talk to you about the product over lunch. Like that's just how I feel about it. And if this contract could be worth $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 or $50,000, to me, that's worth whatever I'm going to spend on drinks and dinner. So yeah, that's kind of leg 2, getting the restaurants in order that we want to target, really making this a staple. And then I really want us to use those restaurants. I don't want us to get so many that we can't deliver. I want us to use those first 5 to 10 restaurants to really perfect our process. What dates are we shipping? How much gas are we using? What are our production days? How many people do we need to produce? I want us by the fall of 2020 to start working on process manuals, because again, I want this stuff to be outsourced. I want this stuff to be a job for somebody else. We're just placeholders, but it does need to be a job for somebody else. And quick little sidebar, one thing that I heard when I was taking one of my business classes, you have to think about, and this was not like in school or anything like that. This was just a course that I took at a community college. It was like a 6-8 week course to just learn a few things. But start putting in, you don't have to pay yourself in the sense that, like, for me, I'm not pulling any money out of my business, but you want to start allocating how much money and how much time, because when you do have to pay someone else, you gotta add that into it. Like you always have to add in labor. And it's interesting to me when you ask people like how much something costs, and then they don't add in the labor because they're doing it. And that's just not a great way to be. You have to add in your labor. If it's going to take you 2 hours or 3 hours, you gotta add that in. And then you got to divide it by your products. You have to factor in your time. That has to be a part of the cost. And again, once you start hiring people, that cost will already be grandfathered in, similar to how people do with like adding in distribution costs, which I learned a lot about in that course. But for us right now, we don't really want to get into like retail. That's not something that I really want to deal with. I really want our mainstay to be contracts, about 50. So just to give you like a little bit of a breakdown, I want our mainstay to be contracts, which are going to be about 50%. And the reason I wanted it to be a strong 50% is because I want to make sure that we have that stability. You don't want to worry. And this kind of goes back. This is a full circle into why I started this conversation. Getting a contract and organizing those contracts, be it with the government or kind of like us with like wholesale and the contracts that we're trying to do, they give you stability, and they give you stability in the way that like you don't want to have your bills and your overhead costs are what they are. They don't fluctuate. So it's hard having bills that come every month, but then you have pay that fluctuates. You need some money that comes in to come just like your bills come. They use passive income. I don't really use that word a lot because I don't think any part of business is passive. That's just how I feel. But if we want to use that for lack of a better words, yes, you want to make sure that you have constant money coming in so the constant bills are taken care of. That is very important. Specifically, if you're coming from a regular job where you're used to having that stability, give yourself that cushion. Some of your anxiety will start to subside. The more savings you have and the more money you have in the bank, some of that anxiety starts to subside because you realize, hey, it's called cash flow for a reason. Money comes and money goes. That's the cash flow. It's constantly flowing in, it's constantly flowing out. And so the sooner you realize that, but again, a big part of this journey is self-discovery. But the sooner you realize you don't have to have so much anxiety about your necessities, the more you can start looking at building and growing, scaling, and taking what you're doing to the next level, or whatever level you're trying to take it to. So yeah, we want contracts to be about 50%. We want wholesale to be about 30%. That could linger between 30 to 40, depending on what time of year it is. And then we want events to be that remaining, 15 to 20% or so, depending, 10 to 20%. That can kind of fluctuate with what's going on with our wholesale contracts and our restaurants. That might take off really crazy and take a little bit away from the events. But I'm a firm believer that let events do what they're going to do. You don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket, hoping that you'll make $5,000 at an event to pay bills and to pay overhead. And then it rains, the event still takes place, but half the people come, and now it's a bummer. You want events to always feel fun and fresh. Even if you don't sell a thing, you want that marketing event to feel like it was a success by the people you meet, by the pictures, and by everything else. So I'm a firm believer. Marketing is meant to experiment. It's meant to try things. It's meant to be fun. That's the whole beauty of marketing. And yes, you need it to work. That's marketing at its best. But marketing not working shouldn't be alleviating marketing altogether. It should just be, okay, how can we market in a different way? And Gary Vee really explains this really, really great in one of his 4Ds, where he says, your marketing should be what you're willing to lose and not be mad at. So so we can't balance our whole business on these events, but we should be able to say, okay, what can we afford to put up in supplies, inventory, and time over this many months to cover the season and to not be in a bad financial situation. That's kind of the idea. So that's a little bit of the marketing strategy. From then on, we still want to keep the events going because I just think it's fun. I think it helps you relate to the community. And even if it's not events with us selling, this is the other thing that I think people will get a lot of value out of: sponsorships. If you are a small business, a growing business, being a sponsor at an event can pull a lot of weight too. It can sometimes pull just as much weight as if you were an actual vendor. So do not discredit being a sponsor and, paying $500 or $250 or $1,000 to be on that website or to be on a banner or to be on a t-shirt. I saw a great sponsorship opportunity where they were giving out free pictures, and your logo could be on pictures that they give out free to everyone at the event. So something like that, where they literally put everything together for you. They've got the photographer, they've got the camera, they've got the backdrop, and they're just going to slap your logo on everybody's picture. That's just such a great thing. People keep these pictures, people go on dates, they have family pictures, and they keep them. And now your logo is ingrained in that person's, that person's life. If they put it on their fridge, every time they look at it, they see the picture and they see your logo. So you have great sponsorship opportunities like that. But that just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of how we want to break down the structure. And then going into 2021, I really want us to go hard with the wholesale. I really think that 2021, we could look at getting a whole new facility, evening out how we want to do with contracts and the wholesale balance. But I really want us to go hard with our facility, because I think 2021 and 2022 is going to be really getting our foot in the community. With our shipping, how big of a warehouse do we need? How much can we handle? I really think that the facility is going to be worked out between 2021 and 2022. And also along that process, we are going to be seriously looking at my partner's food truck, which I think will just really, really add to it, because her food truck, we can also offer the Italian ice. And so what's really cool about it is we can offer both. We've already got everything that we need for the Italian ice. It's just a matter of getting other things. And then we've already kind of got an introduction into getting into food truck events and other things. So we kind of already got our feet wet. Many of the same events that we will run the circuit with the Italian ice, we can run the circuit with her food truck. And then that will take us right into her food truck and everything that she is trying to do within that vein. So that's kind of like a little bit of an overview of like what the game plan is. And, you know, I love us to make millions and millions of dollars so you guys can listen back to this and see where my head is at when we don't have a penny in the bank, you know, aside from what we're saving for like our business stuff and rainy days. But like we're bare bones in it. You know, we're working regular jobs, regular people, funneling that money into our dreams and just planning and being very, very strategic. The other thing, entrepreneurs, on your off time, man, when you are not like listen to people, research people. If you watch man, I would watch the Shark Tank like it was my job. I would watch Shark Tank like religiously. Another show that's really great is The Profit. A lot of these shows, man, watch them because you can learn so much. If you have a YouTuber, somebody that you really like, a Gary Vee or somebody's style who you really enjoy, listen to it, stay in the world. Come here and listen to me. Stay in the world, stay asking questions, stay curious, because there's so much. I'm in this world, like I'm in it. I'm in it like swimwear. My whole life is like this world because I love it so much. I can't turn it off. I love it. And when you love it like that, you just want to keep learning more. And there's still so much to learn. So stay curious. You know, it's like the Dos Equis guy, you know, stay thirsty, my friends. You know, stay curious, my entrepreneurs, like stay curious, stay asking questions, stay coming up with things and stay building. So I'm really excited about a lot of the things we're working on because I have so many business ideas and I have a lot of community initiatives that I want to put forth. And we really got to have the money to do that. And so, I'm 31 right now. By 35, I really want to have the kind of money and the kind of flexibility to really go hard. I'm always going to love business. I still will do so much business. But 35, I really want to go hard at my homeless initiative. And I really want to be able to throw a lot of money into that and push that forward, because that's something that outside of the just getting money and building businesses, which I enjoy, this is something that's really close to my heart. And I want to be able to do a lot of fun things with some of the other brands that I have on a shelf right now that just, you know, didn't have enough money or enough marketing or enough manpower, any of those M's to push it through. I want to give those businesses another shot. And I have a few trademarks that I want to work on with, you know, getting a few patents for a few products that I think could just overall help everyone's life. Yeah, so that's all that I have for you guys. I am just feeling really positive and I feel really creative. 2020, if you are not familiar, is just supposed to be an amazing year on so many different levels for so many different people. So if you have anything, you've got to start planning now. The future belongs to those who plan for it. Stay motivated, stay curious, stay listening to people who motivate you and people who push you. Stay learning about your industry on all levels, how people are doing it, what they're doing, what they're failing at, what's working, what's not working. Like really get in there and build where you can, because every time you can buy a piece of equipment or buy a supply or get business cards, every time you can purchase things and start checking things off of that master list and holding something physically in your hand, it also helps kind of push the dream forward. That's all that I have for you guys. I'm going to get out here. Until next time. Thank you.